Edward Johnston was lawfully discharging an official duty, and the defendant knew that Edward Johnston was a public servant. And the defendant did use or exhibit a deadly weapon during the commission of the assault, to wit, a firearm. So you're going to hear about how on April 25th, at around 11 o'clock at night, Detective Crippen had enlisted the help of the Arlington PD because he had determined that through his murder investigation that that's where Mr. McCommon lived. He lived in an apartment complex near the UTA campus on Summit Drive, and his plan was to go and arrest him for that crime. He needed the help of Arlington PD to do that since it was their jurisdiction. So he meets with them, they come up with a plan, and they go knocking on his door. Started off normal knock, progressively got louder. They're there for, over 5 minutes trying to get him to answer the door, but no one comes to the door. So you're going to hear from there that the various officers that were there, they're kind of walking outside the apartment. They see the defendant's car, they go and check it out, and since no one's answering the door, they, tend to go to plan B. They say, well, we'll leave, we'll come back at another time, see if we can arrest him then. But it's at that point that everything changes. And everything changes at the hands of Mr. McCommon and the decisions that he made that night. Because after about 10 minutes, you're going to hear how Mr. McCommon opens the door, sees the officers that are full uniform, either with their badge or police written largely across their chest. He opens the door and immediately slams it shut again. And at that moment, this is the crux of the case and when everything changes. Because instead of leaving the door shut and doing what a reasonable person would do, which would be either lock the door, yell, what do you want, barricade yourself in, what have you, he opens it back up and he immediately shoots Officer Johnston and hits Officer Johnston in the hip and groin area.
At this point, he doesn't know who's on the other side of the door, but he smells trouble. And when he goes open the door to say what's going on, which he says before he gets shot and after he gets shot, because he has no idea that there's police at the door, somebody starts to try to force the door in. That's where the castle doctrine comes in, using force to enter his home. It doesn't matter that the police that he did not know were on the other side had a warrant. Actually, they didn't have a warrant to enter his home. They were there just to knock and talk to him. So when he opens the door, somebody starts forcing their way in. He closes it, but can't get the handle closed because the person on the other side is keeping it from turning. Door comes open. He has his gun. He fires a shot, shooting Officer Johnston in the hip. Bullet goes to his taser, goes in his leg. Not good. Johnston's okay. Johnston unloads his magazine on my client. Client got shot 3 times in the arm, falls to the floor, and one of the officers come in. He's like, what is going on? Connor Still, what is going on? All this testimony comes down to, was Officer Johnston trying to force his way in? And did he announce police? And this is where the credibility comes into issue. He didn't know there was police on the other side of the door. And while I'm telling you right now, I won't call another man a liar or woman a liar because I wasn't there. I can tell you this, and I don't know if the evidence is going to show it yet because it hasn't happened yet. But I do know that on December 16th, 2016, in JP Precinct 3, in front of DPS examiner Gino Shaw and Judge Russell Casey, when asked under oath, what makes you think he knew he was shooting at a cop, police officer? Well, because I announced. There's one reason. He didn't announce. He just didn't. 2 is because I was wearing my uniform. Again, all the evidence is going to be is it was very poorly lit and it was very dark. Officer Johnston, how do you know he saw your uniform? That he saw you were a police officer? I can't say for sure. If he says anything other than that on that stand, then I know he's a liar. I was there, and I'm not going to let it go, because that man's life is in my hands.